5 Zoom interview tips. The surge in the popularity of Zoom interviews continues. If you are currently on the job hunt, you are highly likely to be called up to a Zoom interview rather than a physical one, especially in the early rounds of interviews for a role. However, Zoom interviews add new challenges for candidates that they need to be aware of to make the most of their time in an interview. In this video, we'll discuss 5 best practices you should observe to help you ace your Zoom interview. 1. Focus on the camera. Direct eye contact is a vital way to emphasize your point. However, we all know that it is very difficult to stare or keep your attention on the camera the whole time throughout your interview. It can feel unnatural to stare at a camera rather than at a person's face, especially when the person starts to speak. However, in a virtual interview, what you need is to focus all your attention on the video camera itself, to ensure that you bring your point across. You want to make an impact. Don't divert your attention because of the expression shown by the panel of interviewers. It is human nature to turn our attention to the people talking or moving on the screen. However, this can be changed over time. With all things that require skill, practice is key. It is uncomfortable at the beginning, but as you practice looking into your camera during video conferences when you speak, you will get more comfortable with the action. 2. Remove all distractions. This point is especially salient in a Zoom interview, as this would be the least of your concerns in a physical meeting. When your interview is conducted physically, you have a live audience, hence removing the worry of talking while muted or excessive noise in your surroundings. On the contrary, when you conduct an interview from the comforts of your own home, your pets could be running around, children seeking attention, construction in your neighborhood, just to name a few distractions. These visual or audio distractions could easily be a negative in your Zoom interview. You want to leave a strong impression because of the discussion you had with the interviewers and not for what went wrong. Here are some suggestions for you. Mute when practicable when you are not speaking to shut out any unwanted or sudden noises. Turn off your camera when you are doing something else, in the waiting room, or have some visual distraction to deal with. Leave your children or pets in another room, or distract them with something whilst in the interview. A little pre-planning could avoid a needless distraction in your interview. 3. Enhance your voice and embracing the pauses. Your voice is your instrument. You control what comes out in many ways, such as tone, silence, pitch, volume. A great interview, or conversation, requires a good mix of these elements to reinforce your point and display authenticity. A recorded voice, as is the case in a Zoom call, often comes across as somewhat flattened and monotone. Accordingly, you need to slightly enhance your normal tone and pitch to overcome this in Zoom. We suggest practicing speaking in front of the mirror, to build up your confidence, and recording yourself while speaking. When you record your speech, you can play back to identify your strengths and weaknesses, whilst also hearing how the authentic high and lows of your natural speech have been flattened out. Silence is golden. Pausing at the right moments helps to amplify the effect of a message you are bringing across. It allows the audience to take a moment to digest what you have just said or explained. Speaking for too long or engaging in a monologue can discourage engagement and encourage tune-outs. Judicious use of pausing helps greatly at in-person interviews, but adds even more during a Zoom interview, as it provides windows for contributions or questions in the conversation. I am sure you would have been on a Zoom call where many people start talking at once. In a live meeting, we take many cues from body language to give space to each other for comments or interjections. We cannot often have these on a Zoom call, so need to somewhat artificially create them with pauses. 4. Starting and ending on time. Connectivity issues come hand in hand with working from home. A virtual interview is still an interview, and is not a reason to be tardy. You should try to enter the room about 5 to 10 minutes before the interview starts and be ready to begin on time. Our key suggestion is to prepare 2 separate openings. A brief one to capture the attention and engage those who have joined the room early or on time, while your actual opening is to be used when everyone has joined the interview and you have been told you are to more formally begin. Noting you should assume the interview has begun the second someone joins you in the waiting room where you are admitted to the meeting. Ending on time is a given, though this will largely be controlled by the interviewers. However, you should keep 30 minutes of your schedule free after the planned ending of the meeting, to allow the interview to run over if required. If you are enjoying this content, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Comment below on any other tips you think would be useful for a Zoom interview. 5. Audio, video, background and lighting. Your video should be on throughout the interview. It is important to ensure that you have tested your audio and video before entering the call. A point to note is to adjust your camera such that your shoulders can be seen, and if you need better quality audio, plug in a headset. It is good practice to find a spot at home with decent lighting. Avoid dim settings where your face is hidden in shadows or is too bright with too much light reflecting off your face. If you are using a virtual background to hide your surroundings, it is important to ensure that it is a professional-looking background such as a solid color, or a high-quality professional still image. Go through these points every time you have a Zoom interview and prepare ahead of time. It takes time to get comfortable speaking in front of a camera, so get in tons of practice to get your point across smoothly. Portraying yourself authentically is a little more difficult on a Zoom interview, but with practice you can get good at it. With these 5 Zoom interview tips, we believe you will have no problem acing your Zoom interview.